to Return to Athens. This week, the discipline of mountain biking. The stadium roof, onwards and upwards. And how shot put is getting back to grassroots. All that and more as we return to Athens. Firstly, this is the newest and most exhilarating of cycling's three disciplines, the others being track and road riding. Making its debut at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, the discipline had only been around for about 40 years prior. Making it a new sport on the block when you consider that the first organised competition was held outside San Francisco in the 1980s. Mountain biking evolved from cyclocross, an early style of mountain biking used as a method for professional cyclists to train in the off-season. Cyclocross consisted of riding over difficult terrain, with the rider needing to dismount to make it over particularly challenging surfaces. Even now, despite thicker wheels and improved suspension, some things just can't be ridden over. The history of the sport records the first mountain bike came about from a university student. In 1953, he stripped and converted his regular bicycle before heading for the hills. It's safe to say that people have been taking their bike off-roads for years. While in the 1930s, the invention of inflated tyres sparked the imagination of some, the idea of riding your bike in these conditions didn't grab enough people for the sport to grab a toehold. But that's all changed now, with the level of competition and the numbers of people competing increasing at every Games. While only the cross-country event appears in the Olympics, there are other mountain biking events out there. In the beginning, mountain biking was broken down into two sections, cross-country and the downhill. Downhill is similar to skiing in that you have the slalom, the giant slalom and freestyle events. Gravity and fear are your only enemies, so the riders are quite happy to pass up lightweight frames for something more solid and sturdy with a full suspension. The cross-country differs from this in that gravity is doubly your enemy, especially when you're riding your bike up a steep embankment. And don't think that your legs don't need to also work just as hard on the way down. It's important to use both your legs to help manoeuvre around difficult areas of the course. Disabled athletes also compete in mountain biking, with competitors able to begin at any age. You never know, one of these guys could win gold in 2012. It's been a meteoric rise to fame for the discipline. It was only officially recognised as a sport by cycling's governing body in 1993. 3 years later, we saluted its first gold medalists. Mountain bike events begin en masse, with world rankings determining how close to the front a competitor is placed. Fortunately, in Athens, only 50 men and 30 women will take to the line. In other competitions, the large number of competitors can make the start of the race very crowded. There has been much debate on the inclusion and deletion of sports events from the Olympic schedule. In the case of mountain biking, as the participation in events continues to increase every year, do not be surprised to see mountain biking events on future game schedules. However, However, with only the cross-country event this year, who is likely to wear the gold medal on August 27? We predict the current world number one, Gun Riederdale, will stand atop the podium. For the silver, it's Sabina Spitz, even with such a famous surname, and taking out the bronze medal, Maja Włoszczowska from Poland. The men's event follows the next day. We expect Dutchman Bart Brentjens to salute the judge first, with French rider Julien Absalon to take the silver. Predicting the bronze medal is tough, with luck playing an important role in any race. The Belgian rider Raoul Paulsen is our choice. Speculation is rife as to whether or not the so-called showpiece of the Games, the 13,000-tonne steel and glass dome that is to envelop the main stadium, will in fact be completed. While the Greek government is promising that the complex design, which involves sliding two 6,500-tonne canopies along rails on a reinforced concrete beam, will be ready on time. Dennis Oswald, the Chief International Olympic Committee Inspector to Athens, believes it may have to be sidelined. Oswald saying,
"It's very complicated and there is no space for unforeseen delays. But the Games can, if necessary, go ahead without this roof."
Not having the roof would not only be a major embarrassment to the organising committee, but is a major annoyance for organisers of the ceremonies and the Athens broadcast organisation. Any further delays will hamper preparations for the top-secret opening ceremony. With hundreds of welders working 24 hours a day to get the roof together, dancers and actors now have to rehearse for the event away from the stadium. The delays are also drawing complaints from the company organising the television coverage of the Games, which is planning to make extensive use of the roof. Having a cover over the seating allows cameras to be suspended on platforms above the crowd, so as not to affect sight lines, and alleviates the need to remove seating for camera positions. It's the ultimate athletic challenge for women and includes the 100 metres hurdles, and the high jump, the shot put, the 200, the long jump, the javelin, and an 800 metres. These 7 tough events combine to make up the heptathlon. The term heptathlon, coming from the Greek word hepta, meaning 7, was first introduced into the Olympic track and field program in 1984 at the Los Angeles Games. The heptathlon replaced the modern pentathlon, which made its debut back in 1964 at Tokyo. The gruelling event is held over 2 days of intense competition. The heptathlon is one of the most challenging events for any female athlete. As the heptathlon is a female-only event, males compete in a decathlon, being 10 events also in 2 days. Competitors must take part in 4 events on day 1. The 100 metre hurdles is a difficult event to begin with. The athletes require a solid technique and adequate flat speed to gain as many early points as possible. Next is the high jump. In each of the events, depending on the placings, a certain amount of points are awarded to the athlete. At the conclusion, all points are added together and their collective total becomes the competitor's score. In a heptathlon, there is little margin for error, and 7 quality performances are needed to end up at the top of the points table. The third event on the program is the shot put, a true test of the athlete's strength and power. Later in Sports Page, we take a more in-depth look at one of the carryover events from the ancient games. The final event on the first day of competition is the 200 metres. current world champion, 20-year-old Carolina Klüft of Sweden, is a brilliant 200-metre runner. Her personal best time is even competitive to specialist 200-metre sprinters. At last year's World Championships in Paris, Klüft recorded the highest score in the event's history. Not only did she blitz her opposition, she achieved several personal bests in the individual events. Klüft also holds the junior world record for the event. First up on day 2 is the long jump. World silver medalist Eunice Barber of France is a specialist jumper. Barber is the current world long jump champion. Most of the heptathletes have a specialist event. Current world record holder Jackie Joyner-Kersee of the United States was a magnificent long jumper. The javelin follows the long jump, a make or break event for some of the athletes. They must get the javelin up and out as they approach the business end of the competition. With one event remaining, points in the javelin are crucial to placings going into the 800. It wraps up the heptathlon and more often than not decides the gold medalist. Ever since the first Olympic competition took place, the event has gone from strength to strength. It took a world record of 7,291 points from Jackie Joyner-Kersee at the 1988 Seoul Olympics to win the gold. The record still stands today. Joyner-Kersee is considered to be one of the greatest all-round female athletes in history. She won 5 Olympic medals, including 3 gold. Joyner-Kersee, the former world record holder in the long jump, retired in 2001 after years of success, including 4 Olympic campaigns. The heptathlon competition in Athens will be one to remember. It is one of those events that follows the Olympic creed of higher, faster, stronger. It's the true test of strength, skill and endurance. 7 events, 1 winner. Who will stand above the rest and be crowned this year's Olympic champion and the greatest all-round female athlete on the planet? Our medal predictor believes that the gold will go to Swedish sensation and world #1 Carolina Klüft. In what will be a battle down to the final race, the silver medal will be taken by Jelena Prokhorova. For the bronze medal, Sonja Kesselschlager from Germany. The first emergence of shot put as a sport is mentioned by the ancient scribe Homer, who refers to soldiers having a rock-throwing competition during the siege of Troy. Today you throw the large ball or shot in one of 2 ways. The first invented by Parry O'Brien. He began with his back facing the circle and then spun 180 degrees before the release. In 1976, another technique evolved that was adapted from the rotational technique used by discus throwers. This technique has become increasingly popular. The field event of shot put is held on a concrete circle 2.13 metres in diameter. The weight of the shot is different for men and women. The men's weighs 7.26 kilograms. The women's is much lighter and only weighs 4 kilograms. This throwing circle has a wooden arc at the front edge that assists the athletes in not fouling by stepping out of the ring. If their foot does, however, cross over the top of the wooden arc, the throw is ruled a foul. The shot must be thrown from the shoulder with one arm only. The current women's Olympic record holder is Ilona Slupianek after she threw the shot an incredible 22.41 metres in 1980 at the Moscow Games. Due to the fact that the men's shot is almost twice as heavy, the men's record is only 6 centimetres further at 22 metres 47, thrown by Ulf Timmermann at the Seoul Olympics in 1988. Athletics are held at the main Olympic Stadium from August 20. However, if you wish to see the power and strength of the most ancient of throwing events, you'll need to head out of town to Olympia on August 18. These are the ruins of the ancient city that, through peaceful competition, gave her name, Olympia, to the greatest sporting contest on earth, the Olympic Games. To link the past with the future, the International Amateur Athletic Federation and the International Olympic Committee have agreed to hold the shot put in ancient Olympia. In a time-honoured tradition, the rays of the sun are used at this sacred site to ignite a flame that thousands of torches will carry around the globe to every continent and previous host city. That same flame returns to Athens for the first time to rest above the main stadium as a symbol of peace and friendship through Olympic competition. Perhaps it was in this very spot where thousands of years ago men lined up to throw a round stone further than the next. This year, just 32 men and 32 women have earned the privilege of competing at Olympia. The two gold medalists who walk through this arch are charged with a unique honour. They are to be the first and only gold medalists to compete at Olympia. During the ancient games, winners were bestowed with a laurel wreath. Watching the event will be 15,000 spectators, awarded free passes to sit on the grass slopes and imagine what it must have been like when the Games were first held here. But if your interest isn't in athletic competition, how about heading out to the Olympic Canoeing and Rowing Centre? Rowing is held over 8 days of the competition. Tickets are reasonably priced, ranging from 10 to 40 euros for the whole day's regatta.
The Olympic Rowing and Canoeing Centre is located in the area of Skinas, in the northeast part of the Attica region. This is where the Olympic canoe, kayak, flat water and rowing competitions will take place in August 2004, when the Olympic Games return home. This magnificent project is not just a new sporting venue, but also a means of regenerating the adjacent degraded wetlands. The restoration of Skinas is a groundbreaking project for Greece. For the first time, a swamp has been reflooded, restored, and designated as a national park and Natura 2000 site. Where an airport once stood, now the earth-embedded lake of the Olympic Centre has developed and operates as a biotope itself. Military facilities, motocross tracks and tons of debris will no longer plague the ecosystem, where vegetation now grows and migratory birds rest. 5 birdwatching towers and eco-trails are planned to be combined with the nascent Environmental Education Centre. The waters of the Macaria spring, which once flowed uselessly into the sea, now return to the wetlands by means of gravity. The water brought back more birds and other species seeking food and nesting areas. A high-technology fire detection and extinguishing system protects the valuable umbrella pine tree coastal forest and the sea cedar community. The main parking area for the venue during the Olympic Games is located at a distance of 4.5 kilometers, averting disturbance to the habitat by private cars. Shuttle buses will carry all visitors to the Rowing and Canoeing Centre and the Skynias National Park. The Athens 2004 Olympic Games was the catalyst for this spectacular transformation. The Olympic Rowing and Canoeing Centre safeguards the future of the newly established national park. In its post-Olympic use, Skynias, where sport is closely linked with recreation and environmental awareness, will be a legacy to Greek society and the international rowing and canoeing communities.
This week, we end the program on a sad note. Australia's triple gold medalist athlete Shirley Strickland-Delahunty has passed away at her Perth home aged 78. A legend of the track, Strickland-Delahunty won gold medals in the 80 metres hurdles at the 1952 Helsinki and 1956 Melbourne Games, making her the first female athlete in history to win back-to-back Olympic finals. So as we creep ever closer to August, remember to keep watching Return to Athens as we bring you the latest in the behind-the-scenes news and views in the lead up to Athens 2004.